What's up guys, Syiler here, and we're back with another rare mount guide. This guide's going to be on how to solo Alysrazor, and you'll find Alysrazor within Firelands, which is in the Sulfuron Spire in Mount Hyjal. This is a level 85 raid, and we're going to be doing this on 10-man difficulty on normal mode, so make sure you've got it switched to that before you go inside. This mount can drop on both 10 and 25 man, but we're going to do it on 10 man for easiness. The drop rate doesn't increase on 25 man. Now, as you can see, we're skipping all the trash and heading straight to Alysrazor. You don't need to kill anything before Alysrazor, no bosses, no trash, just this one trash pack. So that's all we need to kill before we can actually fight Alysrazor. So it's very quick and easy to get to, that's not too bad. This first trash pack, the Harbinger Flame, they'll stun you if they get off the cast. So you want to try and make sure they're interrupted or killed as quickly as possible. And then you'll have these big birds to deal with and these two piles of eggs. The piles of eggs will spawn these little birds, and the big birds will continuously spout out fire and try and kill you, and it does really hurt. Now, one thing to take note of, if you jump onto the big bird's back, you won't be able to control them, but what will happen is it'll despawn the little birds. So it's up to you which order you want to kill them in. I tried killing the big ones and then the little ones, but it'd probably be better killing off the little eggs with the little birds and then killing the big birds, making use of being able to jump on the back before you get overwhelmed. Probably be the best route. And one thing I haven't mentioned, what mount you'll actually get from killing Alysrazor. You'll have a chance at getting the Flametalon of Alysrazor. This is basically, there should be an image of it on the thumbnail, but it's basically a flaming version of Ravenlord. And it's on a 3% drop chance roughly from Alysrazor, so it's not too low, but you know, it's still going to be quite a challenge and quite a feat when you actually get it drop. And this is not an easy solo. By no means. This is a level 85 raid we're going to be attempting to solo, so it's definitely not an easy fight for most of solo. Not too sure what classes will be able to do this, but apparently ranged have a lot of an easier time than melee, just because they scale better from haste. Well, most ranged classes do anyway, so ranged should have this easier, but melee can still do it. I know of warriors that have done it, I know of druids that have done it, I know of death knights that have done it, and obviously Ret Paladins. So give it a go in your class. It's not something you're going to one-shot, you will have to change the tactics a little bit. So now that we've engaged the boss, that's done by attacking Major Domo or clicking the feather, the boss will spawn, and this is phase 1. She'll put feathers on the ground, and when you click 3 feathers, you'll fly into the sky, and you'll be in the air basically. To stay airborne, you fly through these hoops, and then you get a stacking haste debuff as well. Now, as you've seen, I got 3 to 4 stacks, and I came back to the ground before these hatchlings hatched. And the reason I do this is because some people actually don't bother killing these at all. They stay in the air and then fly outside of the ring, so they don't have to deal with these. But I find this strategy a lot easier. So I'll fly onto the ground and I'll kill the hatchlings, and I'll also kite them into any worms that are available, because kiting them into worms will stop them from enraging, and also will give you a couple of seconds of them not attacking you. So definitely worthwhile doing. Then we fly straight back into the sky by clicking a feather, and we continue flying through these hoops. Now, you always want to stay behind the boss. In the beginning of the fight, if you're not close enough to the boss when you go into the sky, she will despawn. So you always want to stay right behind the boss when she's doing the molt and things like that. Otherwise, you have a chance of a despawning, which we don't really want. Now, in the sky as well, you see these like flashing clouds. They'll damage you, so you don't really want to hit them. As you can see, I'm using selfless healer here, so I can use Judge and then heal myself. It's definitely worthwhile. And now we're on to phase 2. So basically there's going to be a load of tornadoes, and there's going to be these rings that you can run through, which will continue to give you that haste debuff. Then Alysrazor will be on the ground and she'll be like burnt out, and you'll get a good damage phase on her where she'll take increased damage, and then she'll eventually reignite herself, which she does a hell of a lot of damage to you, so I'd recommend a defensive cooldown at this point. And then eventually she'll go back into the air and begin phase 1 again. So it's basically a rinse and repeat. As you can see, I'm back on the ground again, now that I've got a couple of stacks, and before these birds have hatched, killing the birds, kiting them into any worms that are around, and basically repeating what we did before. Now, you do get a huge damage boost, but these birds really do hurt, especially with tanking 2 of them. So I'd recommend using DPS cooldowns here and also defensive cooldowns. This is where you'll see me use like Lay on Hands and Bubble, because I find that to be like the hardest part. I don't think I use Bubble on the birds in this attempt though. I think I save it for the final burnout phase, as that also hurts as well. So you're not going to be able to do this in low gear. There were people soloing it at level 85, but mostly ranged were soloing at 85. There wasn't too many melees soloing it at that level. There were things that you could do to kind of exploit it, where you went outside of the ring. You basically threw flew outside and stayed outside during this, so that you weren't taking damage at all, and you'd wait for her to reignite, and then she wouldn't ever do damage to you. And you'd just always be killing her in the air phase, basically. You wouldn't have to deal with any of this trash. So we've gone through another phase 2, as you've seen a pop bubble during this, because it really does hurt, and I want to make sure I stay alive. And with her back into the air, we can finish her off. So that was about the only point I dropped low, and where I had to bubble and kind of heal myself up. And apart from that, we got her killed. Now this did take me roughly about 11 minutes to solo, and it took me about 5 attempts each time I do this, because a tiny mistake or you not being close enough causing her to despawn will cause you to wipe, basically. So it's a very unforgiving fight, but you'll probably come up with your own like mechanics to do this. As I said, it is a difficult fight regardless, and you will have to adapt what I've told you here to get the boss killed, but hopefully you'll be able to do it, and good luck, and congrats if you get the mount. Thanks for watching, guys. See ya!